welcome to Valuechain News. I am Naomi Oleribe. First, the headlines. Fire outbreak won't halt Port Harcourt refinery rehabilitation, says MD. Libya shuts down another 200,000 barrels a day of oil production. Banks will increase credit to economy in 2022, says CBN. Now the news in details. The managing director of Port Harcourt Refining Company, Ahmed Diko, has said he is on course in meeting the set date to completely rehabilitate the refinery, noting that the fire incident, which raised a discharging truck and pumps in the company on New Year's Day, will not stop the ongoing project. He disclosed this while fielding questions from newsmen at the refining company yesterday morning. Diko showed newsmen around the burnt truck and pump bay, saying such an incident was a normal occurrence in any plant operations. He noted that the measures put in place paid off as the fire was controlled and prevented from spreading to other places. Diko said, "In our case, we were doing an operation where we were transferring naphtha into our receiving tanks, and then there was a small spark on the pumps, and that started a fire. Of course, you know naphtha is just like petrol, it is highly inflammable. The fire quickly engulfed the discharging trucks as well. We were able to mobilize our in-house firefighting equipment personnel and safety personnel as well, and we really tackled the fire to ensure we condone it first and then put it out. We went further to invite the Federal Fire Service for backup in case it spirals out of hand." In the end, the damage that really happened was just to the pump bay, where we have like 3 pumps which we use for the discharge, and then the discharging truck itself, which burnt down completely. You can see the tires that got burnt, which led to the thick smoke that went out as if it was something out of the ordinary, but the damage is mainly on the pumps. If the trend in international crude oil price continues as it is entering into this year, then it signposts huge revenue earnings for the federal government. At the turn of the year, Brent crude sold at over $80 per barrel at international markets, while the country's 17.12 trillion naira budget is benchmarked at $62 per barrel of oil. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries (OPEC) forecast global demand for the year at 100.83 million barrels per day. This represents a 4.15 million barrels per day increase from the 2021 figure. However, the country's greatest challenge against benefiting from the surging crude oil price and increased production quota allocation will be her inability to meet its daily production quota of 2 million barrels per day last year. Although the Minister of State for Petroleum, Tim Silva, projects that production output will rise to 2.4 million barrels per day this year, if the capacity in the last 5 months is anything to go by, then Silva's projection may remain a tall dream. This is because OPEC is not likely to be favorably disposed to granting any application from the country aimed at increasing her output. For several months, Nigeria failed to meet the existing crude oil supply quota allocated to it by OPEC. For instance, last August, the country underproduced 90,000 barrels per day, translating to about 2.8 million barrels per day during the month, leaving the country with a paltry crude oil production of 1.43 million barrels per day in that month, and one of its lowest in 5 years. Besides, ended last year on a low production output of 1.57 million barrels per day is not a good way to jumpstart 2022, especially if the country is to benefit from the rising price of the commodity in the international markets. Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria (PETAN), an association of Nigerian indigenous technical oilfield service companies in the upstream and downstream sectors of the oil industry, has named engineer Kevin Wanze the new executive secretary. His appointment was announced by PETAN chairman Mr. Nicholas Odinuwe at the association's last quarter 2021 annual general meeting. Until his appointment, Engineer Wanze was an assistant director, research and advocacy at the Institute of Directors (IOD) Nigeria, affiliate of IOD UK. Before joining IOD Nigeria, he had worked as manager, project development and consultancy services at International Service Energy Limited, manager, key account at Amazon Energy Limited, and head of energy unit at the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. At the board level, he has served as a member of the Board of Trustees of the African ICT Foundation and as non-executive director of the board of the KIG Energy Limited. Engineer Wanze holds an MBA in Project Management and a master's degree in Energy and Petroleum Economics from the Delta State University, Abraka, Nigeria. He also holds a bachelor's degree in Petroleum Engineering from the University of Benin, Nigeria. Libya expects its oil production to drop by another 200,000 barrels a day next week as workers try to fix a damaged pipeline. The latest outage comes less than 2 weeks after militias shut down the OPEC members' biggest field, Sharara, causing output to fall by 350,000 barrels a day. Together, the closure will reduce Libyan production to about 700,000 barrels per day, the lowest in more than a year. Any sustained drop from Libya, which sits on Africa's biggest oil reserves, could counter efforts by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its partners to boost exports. OPEC meets on Tuesday and is likely to proceed with another monthly increase of 400,000 barrels a day, according to a Bloomberg survey, as it resolves supplies halted during the coronavirus pandemic. Libya's state-owned National Oil Corp said late Saturday that the main pipeline linking the eastern Samar and Dura fields to the country's biggest export terminal, Esida, will be shut down for maintenance. It said the pipe will be working again in a week. Libya pumped 1.2 million barrels a day on average last year. The NOC has warned it lacks the funds needed to sustain that level of production, let alone reach its target of 2 million barrels per day within 6 years. The government is trying to attract billions of dollars of investments from foreign energy companies, including France Total Energy. Oil facilities can no longer be properly run because of the large number of leaks and the consequence of illegal closure in the past years, the NOC said in a statement. It also blamed lawmakers for failing to sign off on a budget for the company for the past 2 years. Germany welcomed the European Union's plan to define some energy gas projects as green investments, but emphasized that it continued to oppose the proposal to do the same for nuclear energy projects. As at the end of 2021, Germany shut down 3 of its last 6 nuclear power plants, moving towards completing its complete nuclear phase-out. For the German government, natural gas is an important intermediate technology on the road to greenhouse gas neutrality amid the phasing out of nuclear energy and the coal-fired power generation. a German government spokesman said. However, the government's position on nuclear energy remains unchanged. The government remains convinced that nuclear energy cannot be classified as sustainable and green, he added. Although nuclear energy produces very low emissions of carbon dioxide, the European Commission has sought expert advice on whether fuel should be considered green given the potential environmental impact of radioactive waste storage. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has said the banking sector will increase access to finance and credits for households in 2022. He said this recently in Lagos, according to a statement on Thursday. The policy focus of the bank for 2022 is with a pledge to sustain improved access to finance and credit for households and businesses, mobilize investments to boost domestic productivity, enable faster growth for non-oil exports and export employment-generating activities, he said. He noted that the country has been able to contain some of the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. He stressed the need for all stakeholders to work to build a more resilient economy that will be better to contain external shocks while supporting growth and wealth creation in key sectors of our economy. According to him, a major lesson from the COVID-19 pandemic was that deliberate effort must be made to diversify the base of the Nigerian economy. Emefiele said the country must do everything possible to reduce the importation of goods into the country. Before we end the news, here's a recap of our headlines. Fire outbreak wounds hurt Port Harcourt refinery rehabilitation, says MD. Libya shuts down another 200,000 barrels a day of oil production. Banks will increase credits to economy in 2022. And that's the news. My name is Naomi Leribe. Good afternoon and a happy new year.